Good afternoon, welcome to today's Hub Live. My name is Elise Hatton. I'm Rockhampton Regional Council's Smart Hub Business Manager. And you won't believe it, but today is our last Hub Live for this financial year. Yes, and if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, or you follow the financial year, you'll be celebrating the end of the year and the start of the new year very soon. But every person in business I know is preparing and getting ready to close out the last financial year really strong and to go into the new financial year. And it would be amiss of us if we didn't have a Hub Live around what you need to do to make sure that you get all of your accounting and all of your financials in order so that you can not only finish well but also start right. And so today we have two amazing guests. Both of these lovely ladies are members here at the Smart Hub. And it's my great pleasure to welcome, firstly, Desley Leifels from Rockhampton Bookkeeping. Desley's been a member with us for 3 years. We were just talking about that. Hey, Desley.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gone quick.
It has gone quick. And your business has grown in the last 3 years?
Yes, it's grown significantly. I've even got an employee now, so it's been really good, nice growth.
That's amazing. And we're also joined by the lovely Abbie Buchholz, and she's from the Advisory Partners. Abbie, you're actually one of our corporate members.
Yeah, that's right. So Corporate Advisory Partner is a firm in Brisbane. So I sort of just look after our Rockhampton clients and Rockhampton and surrounds sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Abbie was just telling me before that all of her clients are local and she's local, and so she's the local face of Advisory Partners, which is wonderful. Okay, well, let's get right into it. I have a few questions prepared that I think we need to talk around for everyone to be 100% on top of what they need to be on top of for the end of financial year. So the first one is the single touch payroll. Tell me about what we need to do as business owners.
Well, just with a single touch payroll, you just need... Okay, we can cut and paste, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or we can just do it like it is. Yeah. What do we need to do? No, seriously.
Seriously,
Okay, so I'll tell you a story, right?
Yeah.
I have an employee in my own business, and the tax and my accountant got me an exemption from the single touch payroll because I only have one employee in my own business.
Yeah.
And now the tax office is sending me all of these letters telling me that I need to do something different. Yeah. Tell me what the go is.
So I think single touch payroll is quite a new thing that the ATO has brought out, which is sort of reporting your payroll in real time. Every time you do a pay, the ATO wants to know about it.
Yes, of course they do.
Of course, it's like tracking constantly. And it was a bit of a pain, but it's one of those things that everyone had to get onto. So for finalisation, we were just talking the other day about it. It's been a year since we've done it, so finalisation, so it's good to refresh everyone's memories of the important things to check when you're doing the finalisation, which I think we made a few notes which are important.
Yeah, so we just really check what we've lodged with the tax office. So you get a report on what the figures are from the single touch, what you've done, and you just look at your reports and make sure that they balance. Mm-hmm. And once that's okay, you can lodge that with the tax office and say, yep, it's all good by the due date, which is around the 14th of July. And you also just let your employees know that you've done it all and you can get your tax done and it'll all be live on their MyGov account.
Yeah, which is quite a big change from the usual, like you give a payment summary, everyone gets a piece of paper with all of their gross and stuff. You have to actually let your employees know that that's available on their MyGov account and that they won't be receiving it in a sort of like a paper form that they'd be used to. So.
And I heard that setting up the MyGov account is a little bit of a process.
It is, yeah. But they've got good tools. If you jump on, I think it's the business.businessgov website, they'll take you through it step by step and show you how to do it. And once you've set it up, you're fine. But most people would have had it done last year. So if you just access it again this year.
So from an employee perspective, theirs would be set up as well?
They would have to set their own up, each employee.
Yeah. So as an individual, you're responsible only for your personal MyGov account. So that's something you have to set up yourself. But there's definitely the ATO phone number I've found with a lot of clients that struggled setting it up. Calling them up was a lot easier when they've run into roadblocks.
And they take it through step by step.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah, the tax office is actually really good to deal with, aren't they?
Yeah.
They do try and be as helpful as
They have their moments.
yeah,
Everybody.
I'm being optimistic.
they're easy to get in contact with. Let's just say that.
True. Okay, that's really excellent. Okay, so is there anything else regarding paying our employees that we need to be aware of as business owners, or making sure that they have everything that they need at the end of the financial year?
I think a major one too is just to make sure that you are aware of your award that you pay your employees, and if because there are some, the pay rate rise coming through, and they do it staggered. So if you just jump on the Office of Fair Work, isn't it? Yeah, Office of Fair Work, and you can register with them what your award is, and then they just throw you emails and say, yep, your award's going up of this date, make sure you change your pay rate of your employees. So I find that a really good tool to have.
Okay,
So you don't miss out.
The Fair Work website, best to register your award with them, then that
Yeah.
prevents you from having to jump on every now and then to check.
Absolutely, and missing
they
out.
inform you, yeah,
Yeah.
missing out. So what happens if you miss the award going up and you don't adjust your employee's pay rate? What would happen?
Really just do a back pay, calculate how much it should have been from the day that the rise happened to when you found out, and do a back pay for the employees just to catch it up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, very, very good. So that's it for employees?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, I think one other thing just quickly that we did discuss,
Determinations.
just double check. I think a lot of people let their files go a little bit astray in terms of who are your active employees on the file, whether they've left during the year. It's a good opportunity to just make sure everyone's up to date in their employment, like their employment type.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Now, here's the big question.
Okay.
And I think every end of financial year, we have a similar talk. And every year I ask a similar question. What is it that we need to give our bookkeepers and accountants? Gone are the days when people, I hope, gone are the days when people arrive with
The shoebox?
shoe boxes.
There's
There
still
still
a
are
few.
some out there.
There's still a few.
Really?
Yeah.
The shoe box is alive.
Yeah.
as well.
Yes. I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere.
Okay, so let's make this a two-part question. What do we need to give our accountants and bookkeepers, number one? And if someone is still on the shoebox system, is there anything app-wise that we can use, or any other electronic tools, free or paid, that we can access to move away from the shoebox in the new financial year? But let's start with, what do people have to bring to you?
Usually we always ask the bank statements at the end of year, and so then we can reconcile your bank account, make sure that's all up to date. Any credit cards you've got. We also ask if you've got any new loans, or if you paid out any loans, bought new equipment.
Yeah.
And if you can give us the paperwork for all of those, it makes it a lot easier for the accountant really to put everything together.
Yeah, any sort of major change in business really needs to be like documented, and any sort of contracts or things like Desley was just saying that you can provide just makes it so much easier, rather than having to call up and ask all the questions.
Yeah.
Which
And if you've got it all in front of you, you can do it in one big step, and
Yeah.
it's all done without having to wait for information, which
Yeah.
is great.
yeah, for sure.
I think another one is probably a logbook for your motor vehicle, if you can give that to the accountant, more or less, really. Is that what
Yeah,
you
if
need?
you know, so there's two types of ways to claim motor vehicle expenses, and the one that majority of people using their motor vehicles for work during the year would need is a logbook, and that needs to be kept for 12 weeks of the financial year, but it does last then for 5 years. So if that's something that's if you've done one before and 5 years is coming up and you're still in the same sort of work, it definitely needs to be redone.
Yeah. And I think some stock take figure is a good one too, which a lot of people kind of forget about. But I suppose when you do your bank reconciliation and you've got your bank statement, you can review any outstanding withdrawals and deposits and ask the client why, if they're still relevant, or if we write them off and things like that. So that's probably a lot of the paperwork.
Yeah, and a lot of the initial paperwork, we obviously would ask questions then of little things that we find during the actual work. But that's the initial stuff that we definitely need.
So while you were talking, I was just thinking about a system of how to make that very easy when you're a business owner. So would you suggest that people keep a running record, like in a Word document, of what they do? I bought this car, this is the loan, here's the paperwork, or in some kind of Dropbox file where you can attach everything and then just send that to the accountant. So it's more about doing it as you go, as opposed to making it a big job at the end of the financial year. I'm thinking, what was it that we did in December again?
I think with myself, I have a checklist for each client. I have a standard one, and then I usually send it off to the client and ask, okay, have you got all this? It's either the bank statements, any bad debts you want written off, or it's your stock take figure, new equipment and things like that. And then for the next year that I've had that client, it's more relevant, and then they can just tick it off from there, and they know exactly what they need, what they have to do. It just makes life easy for them and myself as well. And when we give it to the bookkeeper, to the accountant.
Yeah, that's really clever. So maybe asking your bookkeeper or accountant if they haven't provided a checklist of everything that you need to report on. That's a really clever way. That's excellent. Abbie, is there anything that you'd like to add?
I was just going to say it sort of meshes into the next question where if people with the shoebox kind of attitude towards it, that is a really good step in the next step up in the right direction, is to just get all of those receipts, instead of every time you shove them into the shoebox, just enter them into your Word document or your Excel spreadsheet for the year, and then you put them into the shoebox to file them away for yourself. But that way it's all already documented, and that's already part of the job done for your bookkeeper or your accountant. So it does definitely, we always let people know that would really help to reduce their fees, even because it takes a long time to enter those receipts. Especially when they're faded or they're crumpled up. And
I think another a good option with the shoebox clients is it's all about making it easier for them and ourselves. So there's a lot of apps out there at the moment, and a lot of accounting software where you can just take a picture and send it off, and it goes into like an electronic filing cabinet, and you can set up certain rules. So if you're always getting fuel or
repairs and maintenance,
it remembers what it's done, and then it flows through to the accounting software. So there's no data input. You just set it up correctly the first time, and you don't have a shoebox. You have a shoebox electronically, and then you can throw away all your pieces of paper, and it's fabulous.
How good is that?
So you don't have to store all that paper in the attic in a one of those tub boxes that usually have them as well.
That's right. So, okay, give us the names of your favourite apps to do that in.
I think mine would be HubDoc and Xero, because they do speak really well together. A lot of clients are on MyOb, and I have some who are remote as well, like they're not in Rockhampton and we can't always see each other. So they just take photos on MyOb Capture. It sits in their in tray, and I just enter it that way. So, but Xero and HubDoc probably are the leaders, I would say, at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, I was just going to say about MyOb Capture as well. As an advisor, we can also download a app for MyOb Capture and go to a client's place, say that they were rural, they bring in their receipts for the month or when they're passing through, come and see us, and we can take the pictures then as we go, and it'll file as well. So there's sort of that option for people who don't quite have access to the technology that we would.
So people who are on MyOb and their accountant obviously has that account, has the MyOb account, can that MyOb Capture be shared with the client? Can they do that on their own? So that's really another question, another conversation to have with your bookkeeper or your accountant. Yes. But make your own life so much easier by just taking a photo as opposed to keeping it in a shoebox or in a plastic.
And you always seem to lose it, and
it fades.
And as you get and even at the end of the day, I know with myself, I just grab it, take a picture, throw it in the bin, and then I haven't got that in my handbag shipping it. It's heaps better.
And I think also for individuals, there's an ATO app that anyone can access. It's free on the App Store, where they it's the same sort of idea where you just capture your receipts as you go. So as an individual, if you're claiming tools and motor vehicle expenses and stuff for your like paid wages, that's a good place to store them as well.
Especially with your cash expenses, because then you're not missing out because you're not losing it. It's done there. So if you get in a good habit from the 1st of July, I'm going to take a picture of all my stuff, you'll probably get more deductions.
And I think as someone who is an employee, it's one of those things at the end of financial year where you have to try and remember back what you did in December. And you think at the time when you go and you buy printing paper, you think, I'm going to claim that back on my tax.
No, you never do.
And that never comes.
That's why you take it.
Yeah, that's what it
that's
needs
exactly
to be documented.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't miss out.
Document as you go.
Yeah.
And I see that with a lot of sole traders too, and they forget to take a picture, and because it was cash, not through their bank account, they can't
track it back.
They can't track it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think we should coin a whole new thing. I think, again, that's it. This is it. A New Year's resolution for the financial year, as opposed to the calendar year. And I would highly recommend that your New Year's resolution for the financial year would be to get the app. If you have the app and you're not using it, cultivate the habit of taking the photo straight away, lodging it in the app straight away, have the conversation with your accountant even before the 1st of July so that you can set yourself up and you're ready to go. And never again do you have to A, lose out on claiming the right amount of deductions from your tax, and secondly, never again do you have to do the shoe box or the plastic box.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think that covers the
it.
surface.
Yeah. Probably a big one. One thing you should do probably is do a backup
Of what you file.
Yeah. It's a huge one.
Yeah? And how would we do that?
I know with MyUp you can just do a backup and pop it on a USB or wherever. Because if you don't do a backup and something goes wrong, you have to contact MyUp and then they actually charge you because they have the backups on the cloud. So if you've got it there for yourself, it's a lot easier. If you needed to make any changes, but Xero, I'm not sure about. Never had to restore anything.
No, so a lot of accounting softwares are all cloud based, and they do update in real time, and they do their, they update all the tax rates and whatnot. But it is still good to have that backup just on file. You may never ever use it, but yeah, as Desley said, if anything does go wrong, and it's as simple as just typing into Google how to back up your Xero file, how to back up your MyUp file, how to back up your Reckon file, whatever it is. Yeah, or even if it is just a spreadsheet, if that's what you're working off, make sure it's on a different device.
And how long are we required by law to keep these documents?
Seven or 5? Yeah.
I can't remember now.
5 to 7 years.
Yeah. 5 to 7.
I don't know. For some reason, 7's sitting in my head, but it might be.
Okay. So
Five's a good
in
thing.
terms of, so I'm thinking this is all about money, right? And then there's money in and money out in its simplest form in business. We have our customers who need to pay us, and we are customers to other businesses, and we need to pay them, and that's our debtors and creditors.
Yep.
What do we do to make sure that all of that is up to date and squared away and accurate?
I think at the end of the financial year, always print out your debtors reconciliation summary. Make sure that balances with your balance sheet. And if it doesn't, well, obviously you're going to have, there's been an entry in there somewhere and you'll find it. Also have a look to see, I think bad debts is a big thing that a lot of people don't look at, and question why it's still outstanding. Contact them, or are you going to write them off as a bad debt or keep them on and flowing through? That's one thing that a lot of people, I don't think, do a lot of.
We definitely see it a lot where we go to do the debtors reconciliation and there could be, say, $100,000 worth of outstanding invoices. It's not accurate at all. So yeah, just really going through that list and seeing if anything's relevant. It could be just an
entry error. Usually they haven't applied the payment to the debtor and it's not actually outstanding. So that's the reason you really have to look at it.
So the income's been
doubled.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to.
And that should be a monthly process, to be honest.
Okay, so every month they should be squaring that away?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And overlooked. It's
and
important
it's
and
overlooked,
overlooked, yes.
Because what's the implication if that isn't done? What happens?
Well, you're paying extra because you're doubling up. Depends on what happened.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on the money. So if you are missing out on it, want to claim the bad debt and get the deduction as a bad debt.
Yeah, and also not using your software to its full potential.
Yeah.
If your information on there is not up to date, there's less opportunity to have a look at budgeting and management. You can't look at your accounts on a monthly, quarterly basis and know where you're really sitting if it's not accurate. So
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if that's not done, you'll pay extra tax because the tax person thinks that you have had made extra
Could do.
money.
Yeah.
which
yeah,
you-
could do.
And
Plus, you actually never receive that money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a really, really, really important thing as a business owner to be on top of. And it's also important to have some kind of process where you can follow up your bad debts, basically, and hopefully get them to pay you.
Yeah, and that's another
absolutely.
good point that if you're not reviewing your debtors regularly, there could be debtors in there from ages ago that you never remembered to chase up,
And then it's gone too long and
yeah,
they're not going to pay you.
Yeah.
There's a whole minefield. So
yeah, it's very important.
it's something, a monthly process, which is great.
Same with creditors as well.
Yeah.
There could be a bill outstanding that just completely
Forgot about.
forgot about that that you need to get paid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things with the creditors as well is make sure you've got your credit notes and you've applied them against your creditor, because you don't want to be paying extra, and that's one thing a lot of people miss out on, is they don't apply the note to the creditor, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
But that sort of stuff, as long as your list is up to date and you can let your accountant or bookkeeper know if something's not right or something's out of date or needs to be changed, those sort of things like credit notes and whatnot can be
Easily
discussed
rectified,
and walked through with your accountant or bookkeeper.
Okay, so the very least thing that you should be doing is discussing your debtors and creditors with your accountant. If you do nothing else, definitely take that step.
Yeah.
So with that, do you routinely meet with every client or customer somewhere in the year to discuss these things, or do you email or get on the phone? Like, what is the relationship that a business owner should be having with their accountants?
Well, with myself, I have a monthly checklist or a quarterly checklist, depending on how often it needs to be done with the client, and that's on my checklist. So I print it out, have a look, and think, well, these ones are outstanding. And if it was you, Elise, I'd be like, why? Do you know why? And he's like, yes, I've spoken to Fred, that's why. So you leave it on there, and then usually it's gone. And you can see the credits come through, and like, why is this a credit? Should it be applied as an error? And sometimes it's just, a data entry error. But at least if you've done it each quarter, the checklist there, you've maintained it.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing is really to make the end of the financial year more manageable, what we should be doing is doing this work on an ongoing
Absolutely.
monthly basis.
Yep.
So that the end of financial year is just the same as every other month.
That's right.
Yeah.
So then you've got to the end of June, it's just like doing another month end, and the bookkeeper isn't as stressed either, because it's all up to date.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you've got your checklist, and then it just goes straight to the accountant.
Yeah.
Make your life
Yes.
easier.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we want to do,
it
make it all
ongoing.
easier.
That's what
Yeah.
I was going to add too, that it does make it a lot easier at year end if a bookkeeper is involved, because as accountants we sort of look at everything after the fact. So after the end of financial year, if you've got a bookkeeper keeping track, quarterly, monthly, whatever's necessary, it does make the end of year finalisations a lot more accurate, and it does really reduce the work involved getting it back up to date. Yeah. And it also does give you a good snapshot of what the end of financial year is going to look like before it happens, which
Gives you a bit of tax planning too,
yeah,
doesn't it?
it does allow for a bit of tax planning if you need to make a few changes or.
So, is it too late to do tax planning?
Depending on what needs to be done for any sort of
Super it is now.
Yeah, for super it's a bit late. For any sort of PAYG things that are haven't paid enough or whatever it is. But for little things where you say, I might need to buy a few, a bit of office equipment. Is this all right to buy in the last few days of the financial year? It's still fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a conversation with your accountant yet, maybe just a quick one.
Yeah, it's even good, even if it is, say it's too late to buy the huge asset that you think that you're going to need. It's still good to know your position, so it's not such a big shock when it comes to having a tax payable, because that can sometimes be
Yeah.
a bit of
Not
bad
a nice
news.
conversation.
Yeah. So if you're
swallow.
yeah, and if you're aware, then it's good to get saving because they're not like the tax returns aren't due for a long time. So
And I suppose that's a good thing when you've got your books up to date and you do have a bookkeeper, they can see how it's tracking and they're like, well, and sometimes I can see how it's tracking. It's a lot more than last year because you do your comparatives and then you know, at least you should have a chat with your accountant, you know, things are tracking along well or not so well, and it is a good way to...
up to date is a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I think we're going to go full circle because we're back at our employees and the super contribution.
Yes.
What's happening there?
Well, it's been raised from 9.5 to 10% as of the 1st of July.
Yeah.
So really you just got to ensure that your software has been, some probably will have automatic updates, but just make sure that the next pay run you do in the new financial year, your super is calculated at 10% for the employees. Yeah.
I think a really good point that Desley made is that if you have employment contracts where where in the contract the salary for your employee is say $70,000 including super, something may need to change there to make sure that either your base rate is...
Your base rate will be lowered because your super's gone up.
Yeah.
So that is something really to look at on a
or
HR
the
side of
contract may
things.
need to be changed to increase the salary to account for the extra super. So.
Okay, and is there a legal requirement either way? Can you reduce their base rate because the super contribution is bigger?
I think it just depends on the award, what's
what
in
was
the
written
contract.
in the contract.
What your employees
And it's probably a
agreeing
good time to probably look at your employees and your employment contracts. Are they up to date? Do they need a pay rise or things like that? So it is probably a really good time to review all of that.
Yeah. I think another important thing to note is that, and we do see it a lot where people just sort of lose track of their super for their employees.
and their contributions.
And their contributions for their employees, and their just recently they've increased the penalties, and you can get charged up to 200% penalties for the shortfall of super if you're not paid, if you're caught not paying on time. So even if you do find that you're behind on your super, it's really, really important to either get in contact with your bookkeeper or your accountant and get it up to date with a super guarantee charge.
Get it sorted.
It is very important, and another thing that's overlooked, especially in small business.
Absolutely. It is easy to forget in a small business probably to not pay your super, and I've seen it come through a lot. I took on a client who had a huge super debt, and just to bring them in line and for cash flow, started paying the super when we paid the employees. So then when he paid the employees, because he then remembered, that's another step I had to do. And it also wasn't such a shock at the end of the quarter. He's got his super to pay plus his BAS. He only has his BAS now because the super's being paid on time and every week.
And it really does affect cash flow and budgeting. And it's really important to keep track of.
And you want to get that tax deduction, so you want to pay it on time.
On time, yes. That's another thing, if people aren't aware, if you pay your super late, it's no longer able to be deducted in your tax.
So that's another thing to really be doing on an ongoing basis.
Absolutely,
definitely.
Just make your own life so much easier.
And also, most accounting softwares do integrate super payments, and you can
and it is
do
really
it,
easy now.
You can do it straight from the accounting software. You don't have to hook up to the ATO or any sort of super fund or anything like that.
And this goes back to the checklist too. So if you're not paying your super on a weekly basis or anything, if you're doing your checklist, you look at the end of the month or the end of the quarter and go, oh, there's my super hasn't been paid. There you go. So the checklist is an important tool.
Absolutely.
And a simple one.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think
I think we've covered a
lot of things.
today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I remember one of my business mentors used to say, the amount of tax you pay is one of your business's KPIs. And as business owners, obviously, we want to pay legally as little tax as possible. But the reality is, if your business is doing really well, your tax bill will be going up, and that is a good thing. You want to obviously deduct everything that you possibly can and be on top of all of your accounting and your bookkeeping and on top of all of your administration. But really, paying tax is a very, very good thing. It means that you're in business, you're making money, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The last thing that I'll add is to ensure that you are actually profitable. Profit is a must if you want to remain in business. It is an indicator of the viability of your business, and you want to be at 10% or more profit to ensure that you are viable for the years to come. And so, happy end of financial year.
Thank you
so much, Desley and Abbie, for
Thank
joining
you for
me
having
today.
us.
Thank
guys
you
were
for having us.
Absolutely awesome. And yeah, I hope that you will set some New Year's resolutions and get rid of the shoebox and get onto technology to help you manage these things and your finances. Just one couple of last things. We're going to actually be talking about budgeting in our Lunch and Learns over the next couple of months. We'll be starting with how to set your own personal, internal financial budget for your home life and your personal life, and then how to use that as a step one to build your business budget on top of your personal budget. So please join us for our Lunch and Learn. Please keep an eye on our Facebook page to see more information about that. We'll see you next lunch and learn. Next lunch and learn. See you then.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.